welcome. We hope you'll enjoy the time you spend with us as we take you back to those early years of life and culture in Old Nauvoo. May we request that you remove your hats, turn off your cell phones, and keep the aisles clear for the entrance and exit of our cast members.
During this performance, if your child becomes disruptive, a stroll outside should help both the child and the audience. And
We'll take your seats. It's our custom to begin each performance with a prayer. Would you join with us now, please? Well, welcome to Nauvoo. I'd like to shake a hand with your neighbor. Tell us your name and where you're from.
Well, welcome to Nauvoo. We're mighty glad to spend the day with you. Anybody here from Oregon or Idaho, from California, Arizona, Maine, or Ohio, get ready, everyone, to name your state apropos. Glad and from welcome to Nauvoo. Well, welcome to Nauvoo. And anybody's been there by you and your neighbor, you'll make a new friend if you will just move over. Welcome to Nauvoo. We're mighty glad to spend the day with you. And if your baby's noisy, will you kindly take him out?
Just folks will come to hear us tell what Nauvoo's all about.
We'll gladly save your seat till he is.
Over his pals.
Welcome to Nauvoo. Smile a while. Woo! Have a jolly laugh or two. Woo! Shed a tear. Honest tears for old Nauvoo. Well, welcome to Nauvoo. Been waiting for your visit here with anticipation. Now that you're here, we'll have a celebration. Welcome to Nauvoo. We're mighty glad to spend the day with you. We've polished up our dialogue and studied our routine. Everyone is in his place, all ready for the scene. To dance and sing and act. Oh, like you may never have seen. Welcome to Nauvoo. Welcome to Nauvoo. Yeah!
Why? Good evening. That term already? Well, sir, ladies, my name is, well, I guess my name's not important. What is important is that I represent an entire printing industry here in Hancock County. You see, back in the 1840s, we had a deep and abiding respect for the printed word. I suppose the influence of newspapers was even more powerful than it is today. Despite that, there appeared to be a widespread criticism of the moral content of the newspapers, unlike the acceptance it receives today.
See, George, I told you. There he is. Yoo-hoo! There you are. We finally found you.
Yes, dear lady, you finally found me.
Let's not bother him now, Agatha. Can't you
For
see
fan's sakes, I'm not going to make a scene. As a member of the American Benevolent Movement, I simply want to compliment you, sir, for once again having omitted indelicate words in your little paper.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Skillingstead. I can always count on you to search for them.
Young James isn't around, is he? We didn't see him at the printing office.
He's probably back there by now. He was over here with the print bill for the play ads. You know, that Jimmy is a fine young man.
You won't get any argument from our daughter about that. Fact is, they've been hankering after each other ever since they were just...
James and Marie were playmates, nothing more. Why can't you understand that, George? For heaven's sakes, he's a Mormon.
Agatha!
No offense intended.
I take it.
They were children together. They're grown now. Nothing George, George, oh, excuse me. George, we seem to be in a hurry. George, when you see James, tell him Marie won't be home tonight. George! Oh. So there's no need in coming over. George, oh, it's true. If he keeps coming over, he'll convert her. I know it. Oh. George!
Well, that's the way it was here now. Most of the people got along just fine. And most of what went on was printed right here in one of our 2 newspapers. Whatever folks thought about the belief of the Nauvoo Mormons, their literacy could not be denied. Now, the Times and Season News was devoted to the church, its history and the like, while Nauvoo's public journal, the Nauvoo Neighbor, was just that, a public journal. Sufficient to say our weekly paper is small, so if you will, for the present, have the goodness to imagine a certain due proportion of fires, tornadoes, robberies, and bully fights from week to week. And I can assure you they actually took place. But as for the important issue, the people issue, what kind of people they were, what kind of things they did, those are the issues the Neighbor was all about. Now you take note on Sophia Packard.
It's true. My husband, Mr. Parker, is a direct descendant of John Alden, and I'm proud to say he takes his treasured American heritage and all that goes with it pretty much to heart.
But as for religion, well, Noah and Sophia were good Bible-reading Christians, and they were of a mind that was all that was necessary, at least until they met up with the good saints in Quincy, Illinois. Now, Quincy, that's another story I'd like to tell you about, but not right now.
Sir, as I stated before, Mrs. Packard and I have never professed any religion.
If that be the case, Brother Noah, because I do believe you're a right good man, I'd like to invite you to join our church.
That's mighty kind of you, but even if I thought I was the best Christian on earth, I would join any church under heaven, including yours. Folks go to meeting on the Sabbath day.
On the Sabbath day, on the Sabbath day.
With a long, long face.
With a long, long face.
But they turn right around on another day.
On another day, on another day.
And another place.
On another place, on another day, on another place.
They'll cheat their neighbor and tell a lie that don't set right with such as I.
They'll cheat their neighbor and tell a lie that don't sit right with such as I.
We love and revere all that's good.
All that's good, all that's good.
For we were taught to pray.
Taught to pray, taught to pray, taught to pray.
We read the scriptures and believed we could.
Believe we could, believe we could.
Be led astray in the latter day.
Be led astray in the latter day.
False teachers and prophets would deceive the elect, and many good men would not be kept.
False teachers and prophets would deceive the elect, and many good men would not be kept.
Then lo and behold, a rumor did fly.
A river did fly, a river did fly.
That a golden Bible been dug from the earth.
Dug from the earth, dug from the earth.
I had a neighbor who testified.
Testify, testify.
This Bible's worth.
This Bible's worth, this Bible's worth, this Bible's worth.
Our neighbor and his wife presented us with the Book of Mormon and requested that we read it. I carried it home. Asked the Lord if this book were his, would he make it manifest? We read it through. The Lord poured out his Spirit upon us. The scriptures were open to our understanding, and we were convinced that the Book of Mormon is a true record containing the fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Testify this Bible's worth. They testify this Bible's worth.
Soon the yearning we had to be baptized was performed by those we criticized.
So here and now I sermonize in the truth that we now recognize.
Oh, yes. They recognize, they analyze, they apologize, and were baptized.
Well, looking at Nauvoo today, it's hard to believe that at one time this was nothing more than a giant swamp with a few houses scattered along the riverbank. They called it commerce. Then in 1839, the Mormons came. And under the leadership of Joseph Smith, a beautiful city emerged with shops and factories, schools, homes, Gardens were full of corn and peas, beans, hollyhocks, and sunflowers. Now I can see some of you are wondering how this all happened. I'm here to tell you it happened because ordinary people did extraordinary things. You know, I think the Lord must prefer ordinary people. He made so many of them.
Excuse me. Where did all these people come from, George? I don't know. Now that we've finally caught up with you again, I have a few suggestions for the next issue of the Nominee Neighbor. And when we have more time, I have other ideas. But right now, we need to find Marie.
Once again, madam, I'm in your debt. Unfortunately, your remarkable suggestions would require more paper than we presently have in our supply, as you can see in this latest edition.
George, it's getting late. We've got to find Marie. Oh, my stars and garters, just look at this, George. The parents of Mr. William Stout and Miss Emma Bridgeforth wished to announce the couple's marriage last evening. Emma Bridgeforth, George.
Marie's Emma?
Exactly, her best friend. And she's marrying one of them. Oh, my heart. We've got to find Marie before it's too late. Come on, George. Don't dawdle. George?
Well, as you can appreciate, not all the residents of Nauvoo are saints. But for the most part, we all became pretty good neighbors. Now you take Sarah Cleveland, the wife of one of Nauvoo's non-Mormon merchants, a more compassionate and generous woman you're never likely to meet. The Clevelands were living over in Quincy when they met up with the Mormons who were forced to retreat across the river from Missouri. And the residents of Quincy took them in and found them shelter. Yes, sir, without reservations, they harbored the whole kit to boot. It was Sarah Cleveland and her family that made provisions for Emma Smith and her children. That's what I was trying to explain to you a while back so you'd understand. When folks around here use the word saints, I can guarantee most of the time they're talking about the good people of Quincy.
Relief Society meeting. Notice is right here, the Female Relief Society of Nauvoo, notice is right here in our paper.
So it is. Well, what turned out to be the oldest and largest women's organization in the world started right here in Nauvoo, in the upstairs room of the Prophet's Red Brick Store. Imagine that. Whoa, I guess I better be moving along. Unless you're serving refreshments. I guess I better be on my way. Afternoon, Sister Wheeler.
Afternoon, Phoebe. Anything in the paper we ought to know about?
Just this notice about today's meeting. Oh, look, there's an article about us, our organization. It says here we're to be congratulated for our assistance and providing temporary homes for the folks arriving daily from all parts of the world.
Sisters, the bundles of bedding will be picked up within an hour, so I suggest we get about the business of finishing up these quilts. And sisters, it's perfectly appropriate to socialize after work. Then at 3:30 we'll begin the meeting. Oh, I'm sorry I'm late. I took some broth to Sister Snow. She's been looking a little vegan lately.
Well, I'd be surprised if she weren't. Harley Street and Hyde haven't been the same since the Ashbys and Snows decided to build that duplex together.
You know, when you think about it, the Ashbys and all 10 children living side by side with the Snows.
But it's such a well-built house. I hardly heard the Ashby boys at all.
Really?
There were only 2 or 3 home at the time.
The Ashby boys are numerous, so many in the clan, but never pick on one, the others back into a man. Oh, woe befalls a luckless chap who makes an enemy. He'll struggle not with one, but with the whole big family.
Well, I know for a fact that Joseph and Adita Cole got a lot more than they bargained for when they agreed to teach those boys how to dance at the Masonic Lodge. Boys being boys, one of them took a mayfly, tied it to a thread, and pinned it to Athenia's hair.
One small Ashby boy earned a lick. Teacher fetched the hickory stick. Ashby boys pronounced the plea. With me, man, let the smaller boy go free.
Well, from what I understand, Nathaniel Ashby was a very successful shoemaker, and he was kept just as busy here in Nauvoo. Sometimes he reminds me of the old adage of the shoemaker and the barefoot children.
With 7 Ashby boys all wearing shoe size number 8. There may be shoes for some, but others simply have to wait. Their father found solutions when the boys were on parade. He piled them in a wagon, no bare feet displayed.
You know, the Ashbys have always preferred to believe the best of everything to those children. They say it saves a lot of trouble. Besides, I've heard there are benefits in having a very large family in a very small house.
Courting Ashby girls, a suitor finds no privacy. Just contemplate the lack of space in such a family. With suitors in the parlor, on the porch or balcony, a search reveals that there's no place for 2 alone to be.
Now, why didn't I think of that?
Public courtship, there's no surprise. Keep the rules, be prudent and wise. If you spark on the porch or balcony, you'll be courting the entire family. Public courtship, there's no surprise. Just keep the rules, be prudent and wise. If you start on the porch or balcony, you'll be courting the entire family.
Excuse me, ladies, is Sister Cass here?
Yes, I'm here. What
Do
is
you
it?
remember Mrs. Wallace? She's come all the way over from Warsaw to see your brother.
Mrs. Wallace in Nauvoo?
What are you doing here in Nauvoo?
Now, don't get the wrong impression, Peter. I didn't come all the way up here from Warsaw to see you. Exactly. I happen to have business here in town.
Business here in Nauvoo?
I need to buy a barrel for my pickles.
I don't have any barrels.
Oh, I know. I plan to make one up for Coopers.
Don't they sell barrels in Warsaw?
They do, but they're too expensive there.
Is that right? Let's see, you pay $2.50 round-trip boat fare to save what? 25 cents on a barrel?
Oh, all right, Peter. Maybe I did come to see you. We met a great deal to each other once. At least I thought so.
Yes, Abigail, we did.
That's why I've come. Ezra Tyler has asked for my hand.
Your hand? Only your hand?
Peter, be serious.
Ezra's a lucky man.
Is that all you have to say?
What else can I say?
Well, I was hoping you'd say, don't marry him. Marry me. And you would, you know, if it weren't for that book.
The Book of Mormon is not just a book.
You know, Peter, you're right. Any book that would keep a man from marrying an attractive widow with one of the largest homes in Warsaw isn't just a book. It's a pain in the neck.
Why don't you read it and find out?
No, thank you. Everyone says it's a pack of lies, including Ezra.
Ezra can't even read. I know.
Reverend Dewberry told him.
Has the good Reverend read it?
Of course not. He's not going to. Oh, Peter, what good is that book? What good has it done you? What good will it ever do?
Because of that book, this town was built.
This town? It's a town full of riffraff.
Riffraff? Well, maybe you're right. Riffraff is drifting in. Getting off the boats every day.
Well, thank you very much.
I didn't mean you, Abigail. Counterfeiters, gamblers, and horse thieves have always hidden behind decent folk. Nauvoo is no different than anywhere else except here. The Mormons get blamed. It's not a shoddy town, far from it. I'm surprised a woman of your breeding didn't notice.
Oh, I noticed. I noticed the muddy roads. I've never jumped over so many mud holes in my life.
We're working on the streets, but right now we're all busy building the temple, and with so many going on missions, everything can't get done at once. Say, did you notice some of those new homes?
Not a one nicer than the two-story my late husband built for me.
If you moved here, I might consider building one even nicer than that.
Oh, Peter, I couldn't live here in Nauvoo. What would my people think?
Take care, Abby, that you don't confuse what's impressive with what's important.
Besides, I'd be afraid to live in Nauvoo.
Afraid you might start believing?
What, in that book? Never. I have my own family Bible, thank you.
Abigail, here, let me give you this book.
No, thank you, Peter. I wouldn't know what to do with it.
You could read it to Ezra.
You quit making fun of Ezra just because he can't read doesn't mean he isn't as bright and good-looking as you. And I must say, he certainly loves my cooking.
Does he like pickles?
Pickles?
Well, I mean, you're putting up a whole barrel and all.
Mr. Johnson, it's the pickle you're in that you should be worried about. Oh, Peter, you have all the qualities to make a fine husband except one. You care more for that book than you do for me. Mark my words, a year from now, that old book will be forgotten. You'll be over it. I'll be married to Ezra, and you'll be sorry. So will I.
I'm sorry already, but you're wrong about the Book of Mormon. Mark my words, Abigail, someday thousands of missionaries will carry this book into every nation in the world.
Why did I waste my time? And my $2.50 boat fare.
Abigail, please, come back.
Now that's more like it. Yes, Peter?
Don't forget your pickle barrel.
Oh, good day, Mr. Johnson, and goodbye.
Sorry to barge in here, Peter, but we've been looking for you.
Say, any of you fellows married?
I'm not, but I can take orders if that's what you mean.
Pickle Barrel, Warsaw.
Peter, this is serious business. We're meeting down in the 70s hall, and you've got to get down there.
Why? What's happened?
Nothing good from what I understand. That's right, Peter. Joseph and Hiram have been arrested over Carthage, confined there. This time it looks pretty bad. You'll know more when you get to the meeting. The others are waiting for you in Illinois, right?
Well, let's go. I wonder who instigated this one.
I wish Brother Brigham was here. He'd know what to do.
No portable Browning will be there. Well, sir, the conflicts and tensions were even worse than presumed. Over at Carthage, 100 men rushed the stairs, forced the door, and fired. 2 of the best men that ever lived were dead. Nauvoo would never be the same again. The city beautiful was a city in mourning. A city without its beloved leader. Nauvoo is a city in danger of a civil war, and the saints prepared to lead.
Oh, land sakes, Thomas, are you home already? I thought you had a meeting with Brother Brigham.
I did, but right now I have to change my clothes to get over to the council hall and help put our wagon boxes together.
But this is your day off. You promised to drive me over to the dressmakers.
There's no time for that now. We're leaving sooner than we thought.
How soon, Thomas? We were planning on spring.
Now it looks like the first part of February.
Little more than a week? Why?
They're afraid if we don't, there'll be a civil war.
They?
There's no need talking about it, Elizabeth. Some believe that if we don't hurry and get out, the government will send the militia to take our weapons away and we'll be left at the mercy of the mob.
Well, why would the government do this? We're law-abiding people.
The plain truth is they don't know that, and I'm not sure they want to know.
Well, then, maybe a few of us need to just march right over and tell them.
That's not a good idea, Elizabeth. Right now, I have to get over to the cultural hall. While I'm gone, you need to figure out exactly what we'll be taking.
Why? I'm not going.
Of course you're going.
If you think for 1 minute that I'm about to leave in the middle of winter, you've got another thing coming. Why, it'd be suicide.
Brother Brigham wouldn't ask us if he didn't think we could do it.
Well, maybe he can stand the cold better than the rest of us. What about the babies and those soon to come?
They'll be born in the wagons. They'll be fine.
When it's 30 below? What about taking baths?
That's, well, I think we could postpone that until we get there.
Well, that settles it. I'm not going. Not if you think you're going to ride with me all the way to the Rocky Mountains without taking a bath.
We'll talk about that later. Right now, I have to get over to the cultural hall. I want you to make out a list of necessities. And remember, we can't take any more than what you can get in your mother's old chest.
What about our rosewood bed?
You can take the feather tick, but that's about all.
Leave our rosewood bed? I don't know why we're even discussing it because I'm not going.
Don't forget your box of remedies and medicines.
Why, we'll all be dead before we need them.
I'll build a crate for the chickens, and I'll have to buy a rooster.
He won't want to go any more than I do.
We have to give serious thought to our livestock. Each family's supposed to take 2 cows, 1 pig, and 3 sheep.
Well, I can guarantee you'll have plenty of room for all of them because I'm not going.
Don't talk like that, Lizzie. I know you. You love the gospel as much as anyone.
Well, of course I do. But I can love it right here by the fire as well as I can freezing to death in that wagon.
Oh, you better add corn to our list. What do you think? Should we have it ground into meal here or wait until we get there?
How are you going to grind it? Smash it between two stones?
Yep, millstones. Now you're thinking like my old Lizzie. Why, I can see you now, full of the old spirit, sitting atop our wagon, leaving Nauvoo.
Listen carefully, Thomas. You'll be tripping over your whiskers before you see me sitting atop any wagon leaving Nauvoo.
Just give it 1 year. 1 year in the West, and I promise we'll have a city every bit as beautiful as Nauvoo.
Beautiful? From what I hear, the West is nothing but desert and sagebrush, whatever that is.
Lizzie, that desert is God's own country.
Well, I'd say he certainly did his best to discourage trespassers. What about fruit trees and flowers?
We'll take some seeds and tree saplings with us.
Well, that's a right good idea. And then when those trees are big enough to shade me, I might decide to go.
I'll have to admit, you got me confused, Elizabeth. When we moved from Ohio, you didn't complain. When we were driven out of Missouri, you carried on. You said you knew we had to go. But now, I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe you're too old. Maybe now you're just too old to cope.
Oh! Who put out the fire when those men tried to burn down our haystack? And who got our pigs back in the pen when they were turned loose and halfway down the river? And who always bent over backwards, kept her nose to the grindstone and her shoulder to the wheel? You just answer me that, Thomas Bennett.
I'm trying.
And who do you think drove our team all the way across Missouri, all by herself?
You did, Lizzie.
And I'll beg you not to forget it. For a minute there, I thought maybe you were getting too old to remember. Well, now see if you can manage to get that old chest into the wagon so I could start packing it.
Oh, I knew you'd go, Lizzie.
Oh, did you?
Right now, I have to get over to the cultural hall.
Yes, time's a waste and I've got packing to do. Hurry home, Tom.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And so I say farewell to you with love.
centered on two things: faith in the Almighty and a readiness of the people to pull together. And during that time, I suppose the newspapers in Nauvoo were no better nor worse than any American newspaper. But to the people of Nauvoo, when their enemies closed tightly around and dominated their lands, they could read the times and seasons for the neighbor and feel strengthened in their faith and in their cause. Nauvoo offered a life that for most of the people was harmonious and orderly.
George!
Remember, I said most of the people.
Kind of nice, isn't it, George? Soon the Mormons will be gone. Have to admit, they brought most of the trouble on themselves. Pretty self-righteous, if you ask me, boasting about them being the chosen people. And if that's not asking for trouble, I don't know what is. Too bad James folks had to go so soon. But nice having them leave their place for Marie and James. Have to admit, those folks put on a half-decent wedding. Of course, my Lily and Silver added a touch of elegance to their little party. Don't you think, George? George, I almost forgot. Dr. Stout will be stopping by any minute. We need to talk about my heart flutters. Yeah. George, I'm talking to you. You're getting crumbs all over the floor, and stop wiping your hands on your trousers. I just washed them. Why can't you keep your tie straight? It's always crooked. George Skillingstead, if I told you once, I told you 100 times, no wood carving in the house. If you looked beyond your nose, you'd see it gets shavings all over the floor. If you're going to carve those worthless ducks, do it outside. Ducks. George, why don't you go back to painting those pretty pictures of birds and flowers like you used to, instead of painting pictures of women without mouths? I've never heard of a woman without a mouth, George. George, are you listening to me? I don't ever talk to me anymore.
I want to, Agatha, but I never seem to get a chance.
Oh, my George. What's that? Is that a doll? Now you're carving dolls, George? What is the matter with you? Oh, my heart. What will the ladies of the American Benevolent Movement say if they were to see you with a doll? Oh.
There's got to be another way.
They'll think you've lost your mind. That's what they'll say, George. Agatha's husband has lost his mind.
Not yet, I haven't. But she's driving me crazy. It's going to be a short trip. Did you say Dr. Stout was coming?
Any minute, George. I just told you.
Agatha, come here. Over to the window. What's that flying horse doing in the pasture? Is it eating our hay?
Oh, George, what are you talking about? I don't see anything.
Well, it's right there. See, that flying horse is eating the hay right along with Sonny and old Ned.
Oh, George, you're acting crazy. There's no such thing as a flying horse. Look at me, George. It's a mythical beast. It's a mythical beast.
Oh, sure, Agatha. It's right there and it's got long wings. Right out of its withers.
Oh, George, try to settle down. Calm down, Dr. Stout will be here.
Look, Aggie, it's changing colors.
Oh, you're going to have to take it away. Oh, Doctor. Thank goodness you're here, my husband's delusional. He's lost his mind, you're going to have to take him away. Do you know what he said? He said he was looking out that window and saw, he said he saw a flying horse.
A flying horse?
Well, don't look at me like that. Look at George. Ask him.
George, did you see a flying horse out in your pasture?
A flying horse? In our pasture? Of course not, Doctor. A flying horse is a mythical beast. Everybody knows that.
George, that's not what you said. That's not what he said, Doctor.
We'll take care of her. Looks like we're gonna have to take her away. Just come with me, Mr. Skillings. It's a case of nerves. These days, that's understandable. Now, don't worry, my dear. Delusions are only temporary. She'll be back in a few days.
A few days? Doctor!
Oh, come on.
It's George, not me.
Of course it is. Now, don't worry. We've got a nice quiet place where you can rest.
Oh, no! No, Doctor! No, Doctor! It's George, not me. What about George?
You'll be back with George in a few weeks.
Oh, George!
Don't forget to ride, Aggie.
We'll take care of everything.
Amen.
And so the saints prepared to leave. Here in Nauvoo, the Mormon people had lived their lives, built their homes and gardens, operated their shops, united by a religious belief that was not just a faith, but a way of life. Preparations for the Exodus began the only migration in which an entire community moved itself, its institutions, industries, religions, schools, political and cultural power to the far west. Willingly, they prepared to leave because they had to.
Annie, I've come all the way over from my home in Montrose to talk to you. Now stop your packing and listen to me.
I'm listening.
You're paying more attention to them pots and pans than you're me.
I'm trying to decide whether to give the pans to the stouts or the Raymonds.
Give the blasted pot to one and the pans to the other. But please, Annie, don't leave me. Stay here and marry me.
Jed, my wagon's already loaded. All I've got left to pack is this basket of medicine and herbs.
For who?
For those who may need it. The old and the sick and the babies.
You care more about everyone in Nauvoo, Annie. Everyone but me.
How can you say that, Jed? I care for you.
Yeah, the same you care for all those geezers in town. And those rotten little kids. They just calling you grandma anyway.
Jed.
I can't help it. I'm jealous of them. All of them. All of those gas-blasted little red-nosed brats. I have to line up with just so you'll pat me on the head. I even want to beat up on that little kid you patted on the rope yesterday. He was only 5. Why are you leaving me, Annie? Why are you leaving me?
It's not you I'm leaving, Jed. It's Nauvoo. You have to go. I know you don't understand it. I'm not sure I can explain it to you. In the Bible it says...
Here we go again, you and your scriptures.
I told you you wouldn't understand.
Think about it, Annie. Think of what you're leaving behind. Fruit trees, berries, grass, corn, barley, and me.
You know how much I care for you, Jed. But it's no use. The difference between us is as wide as the Mississippi. I can't change and you won't.
I will. Honest, I tell you, Annie, I can change. I've waited so long for someone like you. Please, Annie, give me a chance. I'll change.
Jedediah Cornwall, are you trying to tell me that you're willing to stop being a bad influence on all the children in town with your cousin?
Me? A bad influence?
Sometimes you sound so bad that folks don't know how good you really are. Would it be so hard to say something like heck or darn instead of always cussing when you're mad?
I can say darn.
Doggone would be better.
All right then, doggone.
Shoot would even be better.
Oh, hell, Annie! I can't say shoot!
See? You can't change. And then there's your chewing and spitting tobacco, really.
You don't expect me to swallow that stuff, do you?
You're bound to your habits. You'll never accept my way of life.
I will. Honest, I tell you, Annie, I can change.
What about your temper? What about that man you hit
Well,
last week?
He was bad-mouthing all of you Mormons.
The Savior said to turn the other cheek.
I did, then he did, and that's when I hit him.
More than once.
Your good book says, when a man is sick, you lay on hands. That boy was sick. Real sick.
Jed, it won't work.
Please, Annie, take me with you.
You're not a believer. Without faith in the Lord, we'll never make it.
You've got enough faith for both of us, Annie.
The trip to the Rocky Mountains is going to be hard on everyone, and at our age...
At our age?
What I'm trying to say is that at our age, we may not be able to make it.
We? Who cares? We'll be together. But whatever the good Lord gives us... Did you hear that? I'm getting churchy already. Whatever the good Lord gives us, we'll meet it together. And if at our age we don't make it, well, what the heck? There. I said it and I didn't cuss. Doggone it, Annie, I can change. Now, will you marry me?
Oh, Jed, I really want to.
That's enough for me. You go on with your packing. I'll go get Bishop Wells and be right back.
Sorry to interrupt, folks, but it's time to get started.
What are you talking about?
Time to get started now. We gotta leave Nauvoo. Annie will help you pack.
Hold on a minute. What happened to April?
Can't wait till April. Word's come that Governor Ford's ordered federal troops from St. Louis to intercept if we wait that long.
The plain truth is that either we plan to defend ourselves or we leave.
Well, we need to stay and fight. Hold our ground. Not be whipped and beaten down like a dog.
I'm with you, Jed, and there's others that feel the same way. Let's go find them.
Let's go. You're back, Jed.
Wait, Jed, stop! Brigham Young says we've got to leave. Listen to me, Jedediah. Leaving is going to take a lot more courage than fighting.
I'll go warn the others.
If we go, we'll be spoken of as cowards. Cowardly Mormons, all of us, driven out.
All of us? Us? What are you saying, Jed? Does that mean you're with us?
Guess I've always been with you. Maybe I'm not what Annie wants me to be, and maybe I'm not what I want to be. But I've always been on your side. I just don't like the idea of being forced out.
Forced out? No, Jed. It will be said of us that we left willingly because we had to.
So say a prayer and move along willingly because we have to, and make these words our battle song. Willingly because we have to, take courage, we'll stand together with a grip on the iron rod. Men of peace.
Rocky Mountains. It's now or never, Jed. Are you coming? Like I said, I've always been on your side. If you're willing to take me, I'll come.
Defend the truth, take up the fight, willingly because we want to, protect the faith, our strength unite, willingly because we want to, take courage, we'll stand together, with a grip on the iron rod, men of peace, we'll join the battle, marching on the side of God. We'll do His work, His words defend, willingly because we want to, and will endure until the end. Willingly because we want to. Then when the battle is past and gone, and we're as grains in the sands of time, let it be written thereupon, we did it willingly, 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 because we want to.
As the Saints prepared to leave, the newspaper staff made the press packed away the type. And on October 29, 1845, the final issue was read by a greeting people. As we set out to find a place where we can plow our fields as we saw fit, believe as we wanted, and live life as we've a mind to. But forever, we will look back and remember Nauvoo.
This little town out of the way, where we must belong to stay. But once you said the time is near, it's tired of tears and leaving here. We leave behind in old Nauvoo, our homes, our fields, our temple view, where we have lived our life to share, because we come from everywhere.
When far away we will recall the special feeling of it all.
The sacred words, the sacrifice, the saints who paid the noble price. This privilege is ours to share the spirit of Nauvoo. Nauvoo.
This little town name of Nauvoo, where we have lived a while with you.
And where the river's arms embrace the quiet corners of this place, where time cannot erase our days in old Nauvoo with you. Nauvoo. With you.
George Skillingstead, they told us the two of you were here.
Great Scott, Peter, that sounds like Agatha. Agatha, are you sure? I'm sure it's not a voice from heaven.
Peter, aren't you going to say something?
Abigail, I can't believe it's you. What a surprise.
Oh, bet a penny. You're no more surprised than I was when I found your Book of Mormon in my pickle barrel. Oh, Peter, why didn't you tell me what was in that remarkable book?
You read it?
Twice. Once before I told Ezra that I wouldn't marry him.
Abigail, I'd almost given up hope. Are you saying what I think I'm hearing?
I'm saying what you've been wanting to hear for a long, long time. Not only that, Peter, Agatha and I read it together the second time.
Mrs. Skillingstead, I can't believe my ears.
It's Sister Skillingstead. And if you mean, did I do what she said was done? I most certainly did. When we get to wherever we're going, that wonderful book will have its place right beside our family Bible, on top of my fine linen and silver chest, as soon as George builds it.
George? George? Did you hear what we just heard?
I think I did.
Now do you believe in a higher power?
A higher power. Until now, I thought that was Agatha.
George.
Well, there's our view of Omaha. Thank you for rain and fall. There's more to do and see and hear, so come again, both one and all, and we'll take a walk around Nauvoo. Assemble at Hutchinson High. The lion drum will deliver a treat. Won't it be sweet when we gather to meet? A rendezvous in old Nauvoo, on the streets to meet and greet in old Nauvoo. Thank you. So come again, both one and all, and we'll take a walk around Nauvoo. Assemble at Hutchinson High. The lion drum will deliver a treat. Won't it be sweet when we gather to